Australian Super Rugby 2020 conference preview. Last year, it wasn't the greatest year for the Australians. Except for the Brumbies, the other teams really underperformed. Most of them were poor to average at best. Even the Brumbies, they had a winning percentage of 62.5% in the normal season, while the rest didn't even get to 50%, as you can see on the log next to me. If you look at the Super Rugby in general, if you look at the Crusaders, they have a winning percentage of 69%, so it's not really very high percentages what you would maybe expect from other teams in other leagues. So the Super Rugby, it is a different kind of competition. You can't expect teams to really have a very high winning percentage in the normal season. But there is some changes in the Australian setup at the moment, and this is what I think we can expect in the 2020 season from them. If we go to the champions of the Australian Conference of last year, the Brumbies, they are favourites to win the Aussie Conference again this year. They scored the second most tries last year in 2019, especially with that maul just going forward with Falau Fainga, the hooker at the back. He's just exceptional. I think he scored 12 tries. He was the top try scorer for the team as well. They also made the second most tackles as well. So they like playing without the ball, give the other team the ball, defend, get that ball back, kick into their half, and then play on from there. To me, they are quite a good team to watch, though. I do enjoy them. I like seeing a team win a game in a different kind of way than usual. So I do like watching them play. The Brumbies have had some big names leave their squad so far. Rory Arnold, Carter, Pocock, Flyhalves, Hawara, and Lialifana, of course, the big name over there. Spate moved on to the Reds, and then Lucas as well. So big names over there. I hear it's starting to rain. I might edit the sound out if I can. Otherwise, hopefully it's a good sign for Australia. We are thinking about you with the bushfires over there. Hopefully things are looking up, and maybe this is a sign that rain is coming soon. The big names that they have got in, though, is Neville in the second row after losing Arnold, who's a massive guy in there. And of course, they also lost Carter as well. So their second row is a bit weaker this year with that mauls going forward. Might have hit them a bit hard, but hopefully Neville can build on from that. Kata he's a big rugby league player. He's also in. Him and Kuridrani is also going to be a big mixture. They are saying Kata might be a centre, so I think that's going to be quite a good mixture over there. So they kept most of their big names, especially Sio Fainga and Ala Alatoa in the front row. That's going to be an important one. So, and Banks as well at the fullback, very important player as well. And I have mentioned some of the other big names. So the Brumbies look like they are going to be pushing forward once more. The Rebels, they are probably still second favourite to most bookies and most people predicting in the Aussie Conference. But I don't know. They've lost quite a big number of big names. Coleman, Ginia, Cooper, Ruru as well. So two scrum halves out. Maddox, he's out as well. He went to the Waratahs, so that's a big loss for them as well. But they have bought Ruan Smith from the Reds. Very good signing that is, especially in the front rowers. They brought in Wells from the Waratahs, and then Lomani from Fiji, very good player. They've bought a couple of other guys as well, but this is the big names they have brought in. The side has a tendency to start seasons very well, play a really good game, but then they just end it in disappointment. So they would want to improve on that, with Wessels' team really just every season just disappointing what you would want them to do. So I think they have something to work on. They still have some big names in there like English and Meek, some of my favorite players. Rangi, he's also a good player. So especially the back line, they have big names still. They can still push on with guys like Korebeti as well. Then the Reds, I have mixed feelings about the Reds. I don't know, sometimes I feel like they're not going to do well this season, but I do think they might be a dark horse in this conference. They might go further than some might say. They have a super young side. I read somewhere they have an average age of 22 years old. So the captain, Wright, who is actually born in South Africa, by the way, in Durban, moved over there when he was 7 years old. He's 22 years old. It does reflect the age group they are kind of. So I think getting someone that is in that average age is a good representation of your side. Then the big names that has left the side, like I already said, Ruan Smith, who went to the Rebels. Higginbotham is out. Timu left as well. Kerevi, the big one, the captain of the side, and then Nayavalu also left. The big names that they got in, though, two very big names. They got James O'Connor and Henry Spate, two very good players. Henry Spate, very good try scorer. Both of these guys can just impart knowledge on the younger guys. Also, O'Connor, not that old yet. Both of these players made my top 15 list of biggest signings for the Super Rugby. So if you want to check out that as well, I will leave a link up here somewhere. Otherwise, you can just check it out at the end of this video. Next up in this list, going alphabetically, we go to the Sunwolves. As always, they do play entertaining rugby, great rugby to watch. It's very similar style to how Japan likes to play with it. But they have just never delivered in this competition. Last year in the Super Rugby, again, only getting 2 victories. So, it's not been great. They've always basically been a new look side every season. This season, especially with the top league completely clashing with the Super Rugby. After the World Cup last year, the top league was moved over to this year because usually it happens in our off season. It completely clashes. So, the Sunwolves had to sign guys that aren't on a top league contract at the moment. So they do look like a barbarian side once again. Somewhat of a barbarian side. The big names they actually got in, I'm not going to go through the big names they lost. They basically, all of their big names are gone. Forget Van den Heever and Maserewa and all those big names they had. Leach, all those guys are out. They now have Rudy Page, April from a South African point of view. He played for the Sharks. Tio, the English veteran, a very good signing over there. Also one of my best signings in that video that I made. JJ Engelbrecht also made it over to Japan from the Stormers. And then Schatz also coming back into Super Rugby. It's going to be great to see him back in this competition again. Then the Waratahs, they had a very poor 2019. There's no excuses to it. Their season was just a season of close calls. If they won it, it was by 7 or 8 points. If they lost it, it was by 7 or 8 points. It was just always a frustrating game with them. It wasn't a great game to watch, but they had a lot of off-field problems. The Falau saga and Latu with the drunk driving and all that kind of stuff. And then this season, they have lost big names. They lost Kepu, Latu, Politanau, Wells, Fibs, Foley, that combo over there. So, new halfback combo. Rona, Falau, of course, as well as their coach. So, everything new. The coach, look, he has struggled over the last couple of years. I think he coached there for 3 years. So, yeah, change is good. Sometimes they do still have some good names over there. They have some young guys coming through, especially the signings that they made. They didn't really make big signings from an international stage point of view. If I don't know the players, but if you look at it, they made 7 junior Wallaby signings. So it's real big potential with the guys coming through, and it's good for them. Hopefully they come through in the next year or 2. Taking all that into account with all the teams, I think the Australian Conference, to be honest, is going to struggle again this year to compete with the likes of the All Blacks and some of the South African teams, especially the Jaguares. The Jaguares just tear them to shreds. But once again, I think the Brumbies, they will be fine. They really play well. They play like you should in the Super Rugby. Winning every game. Doesn't matter the type of style you play, it's just they have their own specific style and they win that way. Then I think the second place is actually, you might disagree with me, but it was actually quite difficult ranking the rest of the Australian Conference. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, but let me know your thoughts on my predictions. I said the Reds will go in second place, then the Waratahs, then the Rebels, and then last the Sunwolves. Let me know your thoughts, guys. I do think the Reds might improve this season, might have a good one this year. especially trusting their young guys once again. The Waratahs, they're in a building stage. The Rebels, they lost a lot of big names. So that's my thinking behind that. Guys, if you want to join the Superbru pool, it is down in the description below as well. I need some Australians on there as well, Japanese guys as well. Let's make this pool a little bit more diverse, and then I'll check you for the next video. Cheers.